Hello and welcome, fellow Legends of Aria developers. Let's see if we can't figure out how to add a custom item into the game. Currently, I do have a working server. I'm logged into it right now, as you can see, and we have an empty editor. Now, inside the Sublime editor that I'm using, I've got my project photos over here. Here is the build and the mods folder. The builds folder, as I've mentioned in other videos, this is the core, all the files that you need. This is everything Legends of Aria is code-wise. Trust me, inside this thing here, there's like 9,000 files, so it will take some time getting used to how to navigate the code base. But they have some breadcrumbs, they make it easy. We'll learn those things as we go through these videos. Secondly, we're going to look at the mods folder, and currently the one that I'm working on is a clean mod. I just got it set up. It's a clean logs, clean world save, clean everything, brand new server, and I went ahead and added my scripts and my templates. And so now people ask me, how do you make a weapon, right? So first of all, in the game, I would like to say create, and I'm going to do weapon underscore mace, and that'll go ahead and generate your basic mace. Okay, so how do I, as a developer, create my very own mace that I want players to use? So if I was to equip this mace, you'll see that we also get the overpower and the mortal strike weapon abilities. Okay, and these come standard with the mace. We'll learn how to find that and create our very own mace. So we need a theme, so basically I thought about the movie Galaxy Quest and Grabthar's hammer. And so what I would like to do is I would like to create a weapon. It's called Grabthar's hammer. Maybe make it purplish, and for a joke, we can add our own primary and secondary abilities. And this can be done relatively quickly if you're using the abilities that come standard with all weapons. It doesn't have to be this too, and I'll show you how to change that. So now that we have our overall goal of what we're going to do, we're going to dig right in. I'm doing this as quick as possible, right? Ad hoc. I'm not preparing it beforehand. So you might have to bear with me as I try to navigate and go through this. So the very first thing we need to do is we need to find the mace template. So we're going to go to the base folder, go to templates, and then you should see equipment. Now inside equipment, there's a million different files. And you could scroll through all that and find it, but if you use the shortcut Control P and then you type in that weapon mace, you'll see that it'll find it in the build base templates folder for us. Let's go ahead and load this. And now what I want to do is I want to take this template and I want to save it into my templates folder. Okay, so I'm going to file, save as, and then we're going to go back to the mods folder. I'm going to go to the Project Phoenix 3 templates, and then I'm going to go ahead and, to keep things organized, I'm going to put an equipment folder here, just like there is in the base folder. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this mace, but I'm going to type in Grabthars hammer. You can name it whatever you want or whatever weapon you're choosing for this. You don't have to use a mace, so feel free to make whatever you want for a test. And I'm going to go ahead and click save. So now I have access to Grabthar's hammer. I've created the template, and there's a few variables that I want to change, like the name right here. As you can see, we have these letters right here, these numbers. That's hexadecimal for the color value. I want to go ahead and make this like an orange. I'm just do FF7700. And then for the mace, instead of it be called that, we're going to do Grabthar's hammer. Okay, and then the hue says 22. I'm going to change that to 819. That's like white, pure white. And this is going to be bright, so for color, I'm going to go ahead and add the color in. And we want to make it a purple. Again, it's in the hexadecimal value. We can just do a bright purple, FF, 00FF, and that'll be, red, blue, purple. And let's make this hammer, just because it's going to be fun, weigh just a little bit more. And for the durability, let's go ahead and say 75. Okay, that's, you can do whatever balancing you want. We're not going to discuss whatever. We're just trying to make this item. So if I was to save everything, okay, so now that we have this template created, if I go into the game and I type in /reload templates, maybe, let's see here. Oh, yeah. Let's try it again. Reload templates. For some odd reason, this isn't working. Let's see why. Let's try create weapon mace. Okay, there's that. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it just didn't give me the weird feedback on that. So that's weird. Anyways, if we look on this list here, we will see Grabthar's hammer. I can go ahead and now create it. Sorry about the little error there. You can see it's like a brightish pink. It's got the orange text. And when I equip it, it's got the same weapon abilities as our other mace friend, right? So that really just, the only thing this means is that it's the exact same thing as a mace. And maybe that's not quite what you wanted to do. And that is because these weapons share a weapon type, and this is called a mace. Now, all the attributes that you would find for the weapon, attack speed, other variables, what weapon abilities it has, these are located in another file, in a static data table. These data tables can be found, because we're going to have to open it up here anyways, let's go ahead and go to the build of the base, the scripts here, and then we're going to go to the globals, down to static data, and then I already have weapon abilities open here. I'm going to close that folder, and then let's find equipment stats. And once you find that, okay, or we could have just went Control P, equipment stats Lua, and we don't want the helpers, we want the static data version, and then here we go. Now there's two classes, I think. Let's double check. 1, 2. Oh yeah, there's a few other okay. So for the equipment stats, you have the base weapon class, you have the weapon stats like a mace that uses weapon classes. Well, you can read through this later. We're not going to make this as complicated as it looks. This is just a data table that holds all the information for the armors, the shields, whatever. What we're interested in right now is going to the base weapon stats. Okay? And you can see that this is a subtable as we're navigating and learning how to use this stuff. The subtable of equipment stats, and then we're going to go to the base weapon stats, and in here you're going to find the dagger, the Kreis, the poignard, every weapon that you would want to manipulate the values for. And so right here, the one that we're interested in is the mace. Okay, now we could directly edit this base file, right? But what if Citadel comes in with balance changes later on, right? Maybe they update some stuff later on as they get the product into our hands, and now we're stuck with this base file. And that means when they do an update, you're going to have to take and do your own merging and all that stuff, and it becomes a nightmare. So moving to the mods folder is the best way to make sure you're not going to get messed up by this. And then so you could just copy this entire equipment stats folder directly over to and make a globals static data folder in your mods, and then copy and paste this in, and then edit this right now, and then you're fine. Except that all these other values, if they change them, aren't going to be reflected because you're overwriting Citadel's changes. Might sound a little bit confusing at first, but it's really not that hard once you get used to where everything's at. So basically now, what we want to do is we want to make a simple mod that targets and adds a table like this directly to whatever Citadel's doing. So when they update, it just stitches our stuff in. That's basically how it works. So I do need a base file at the same location with the equipment stats name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close this up here. I'm going to go to the mods and show you how you just mirror the file. So now I want to have a new folder, and this one right here is called globals. All right, and then we need to have a static data folder now that mirrors the base folder. So let's go ahead and add the static data. Okay, and the last thing that we need is that we need a file. So let's add a new file, and this one we're going to go ahead and save this as equipment stats.lua and hit enter. So now I'm going to go ahead and save everything, and if I reloaded this mod right now, what would happen is that the base folder mod wouldn't get loaded, it would get replaced with this file. So right now this file is completely empty. Okay, so in order to just directly mirror the entire file, what we're going to do is, instead of just copy and pasting all this stuff over, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to type in require, all right, all the code. We want the default code, okay, in the globals static data, and then we want the equipment stats, okay. And so basically, as a simple test, what I want to do is I want to print found me, I'm working. So this is going to print to the command prompt. This is going to show you really quick how to just open up the application window here, and then we're not seeing anything yet. So now what I want to do is go into game and type in reload globals, and you might get a slight pause depending on the machine. It's reloading everything now. And so we did find the found me, I am working. Okay, so now it went ahead and it loaded up all the default weapon stuff. Okay, now we got to go, how do we change that weapon ability? So what we're going to do is we're going to go right back to the editor now. Okay, and we need to find the, what we would call the address, right? We know it's a mace that we're looking for the key right here. And so what we're going to do is we need to grab this equipment stats. So I'm going to copy this, okay? So we need to grab this table, hit the period key, the pointer key, all right? And then we want not the base weapon stats, oh, not the base weapon class, but the, the base weapon stats here, and we'll hit copy. And I'm going to go ahead and paste that here. And then what are we wanting to modify? Well, I remember that we wanted to grab the mace information. So if I just want to copy everything that this mace was for reference purposes, and now I'm going to add and clean up the code here. Give me one sec. Some people, do it differently. This is how I do it, old school. All right, so here's our mace. And if I just left this key the same, what this is doing in a nutshell is that this require statement here is saying, hey, load this entire file up. Load up this table, all the functions that are in it, everything. Load it all up, and it's precursored right above where we're making our edit. Now, any edit that I make afterwards that uses the same keys, this will override the mace. So what we want to do is we want to create a new key. We'll call this Grabthars mace. Okay, and then we're going to double click and copy this and go right back to our weapons mace, Grabthar's hammer, and we're going to paste that in right there. So now Grabthar's hammer is using this data table now. Once we reload the templates and reload the globals, restart the server, however you want to do it, Grabthar's hammer will now use all this information. And now you can see we have the primary ability and secondary ability. And you're like, geez, where do we find those? Not a problem. Again, it's in the static data table. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to build up here and then base, scripts. Globals is already open. Our static table, you'll find yourself in here a lot, looking for the data information like we are changing here. And then we want to go to the weapon abilities tab. And you'll find there is a slew of sorted abilities, from NPC abilities to skills and tools. We want weapon abilities. Okay, let's go ahead and double click that. And now we have a table of weapon abilities data and the ability name, like stun. Now, if we were to go back, and I'm going to go ahead and close this since we don't need this anymore. So, as you can see, we have Overpower and Mortal Strike. If we look through this list, we will find Overpower and Mortal Strike. They are in here. So there's Overpower. Now, what if I wanted Grabthar's Hammer primary to be Bleed? I just copy that key, come over here, and Overpower becomes Bleed. And then I want to add like a stun. So I'm going to go back, and I think stun's up top here. And I want to go ahead and just put that stun ability in the secondary ability. Now, I will save everything, and you'll see you'll get sometimes an error. That's because there's a file issue loading that doesn't get closed. So basically you have to restart the server. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that right now. I'm just going to go ahead and just kill it. And then I'm going to go ahead and launch this thing real quick. This is the old way of doing it. You will be doing it under a new system. I'm going to go ahead and load up that test map that we were in again. And I should be able to save all this, right? Save all, yeah, okay, before it loads. So anyways, we're waiting for it to load for a second, and I got to log back in. Right here, you have got a list of all the weapon abilities and how they operate, right? So with the stun, there are things called mobile effects. These are script files that fire code-based triggers for like weapon abilities and spells and any type of effect you're trying to generate, a buff, anything, you know. And it just converts it into like an active weapon ability that you use with your Q and E and things like that. You can add a new one simply, like let's say we took the stun one. I could just copy this and then paste it, make a new one, and then come in and change the duration and call it like super stun or stun point 2 or whatever version you want to make, tier 2s. You know, again, balancing issues, but you could change the duration, the player duration, the tooltips and things like that, stamina cost. You can enable, disable. There's various flags that you can throw throughout these. This is how they create basic general weapon abilities. And you can give these weapon abilities to NPCs, where you can find the dragon fire, you know, and all of their other weapons and stuff. But currently, I think that the server should be up and running. I'm going to go ahead and log into it again. And we will try out our Grabthar's hammer. I think if it's equipped, or is it in our bag? Let's find out. Okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and we are going to try to reload the templates. Oh, I know why. This Grabthar's hammer that I have equipped, this one is an old version. And we'll go ahead and right click and go to God Info to show you why this is happening. The weapon type still says mace, right? Remember, it's Grabthar's mace now instead of that. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a new weapon, mace, grab, and it should just pop up. Okay. And this one should be fixed. Got it equipped, and as you can see, we have the bleed and the stun on our Grabthar's hammer. And there's nothing too much special about the attack compared to a regular one, so this doesn't change. Maybe we want to change that value as well. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to our equipment stats. Here's our Grabthar's hammer. there's that attack value. I want to make it do a 15 base attack, and we'll just change this to 3 seconds. And now it'll be a 3-second swing, and it'll hit just a little bit harder. This will be reflected here. And how do you do these changes? Since it's not a template, and this is in a globals, this is a global that gets reloaded. All we have to do, we'll just unequip the hammer. We'll do reload globals. All right, and then we're just going to go ahead and take a peek. As you can see, the values do go up, and the swing speeds and stuff are reflected in the UI. So with basically, this is the general way to make a weapon. It's not just copying one and renaming it, but actually going in and changing raw values, adding new abilities. And as we move into other series, you'll be able to create your own weapon abilities that do whatever you want. And I'll show you how to do that as well. I know this was a long video going over just simple basics, but this is what it takes to navigate and go through and make an item like we just did. So I want to thank you for watching this video, and I'm going to go ahead and make some more tutorial videos on the general things and how to navigate the Legends of Aria codebase. This has been a pleasure, and thank you for watching.